In this video, I have 10 tips on how you can use the Itaki Pro on your vacation to save money, time, space, or just your sanity when you're trying to enjoy your vacation. Stay until the very end as I might have a bonus waiting in store for you. Hi friends, thank you for joining me today. My name is Andrea and I've spent a lot of time over the last few years trying out and recreating some of my family's favorite dishes. I've also been finding new and interesting ways to use the Itaki Pro electric lunchbox and the shibuki pot. So summer is coming to an end now and we somehow managed to fit 3 separate trips in our beautiful province of British Columbia. On each trip, I took along the Itaki Pro and used it in a bunch of different ways. And I thought it might be useful to share with you all some of the different ways you could use this little device while traveling. So let's get started. First off, leftovers. All right, so on our trip to Parksville, we weren't sure when we were getting into the hotel, so we brought along some leftovers prepared by my mother-in-law. So as a quick snack to keep our hungry kids at bay before we went out for dinner, I used the Itaki Pro to heat up the leftovers. And of course, this works well, especially if your hotel room doesn't have a microwave or stove or anything. For most leftovers, I think 15 minutes or 1 cup of the little cup that comes with the Itaki Pro is enough to get your food back to a good temperature. So just put in the food, add the water to the heating plate, push the button, and go off and do whatever it is that you need to do, like shower, get changed. And then when you're all done, your food will be nice and hot and ready for you to eat. It's a total time and sanity saver when you have hungry kids. Okay, so second of all, you can definitely save some money by eating breakfast in the hotel room if there isn't any kind of continental breakfast or breakfast buffet where you're staying. First, there are so many different ways to make eggs in the Itaki Pro. You can boil them, scramble them, make omelets, or even a simple Chinese steamed egg dish. Or you can make oatmeal, and you can totally do both at the same time. So if you're like my family, we have rice almost at every meal, and that's pretty common when we're on vacation too. So growing up in an Asian household, whenever we had takeout, my parents often didn't want to pay for rice because we could just make it at home. Or sometimes we enjoy rice with something that doesn't normally pair with rice, like rotisserie chicken. So with the Itaki Pro, it's the perfect way to have rice on your trip. We just use a 1-to-1 ratio of rice to water and make sure that we wash it and run it for about 25 minutes, which is about 2 cups of the little cup that comes with the Itaki Pro. We actually really like the way that the rice turns out in the Itaki Pro anyway, so it's a good way to save on a few dollars on takeout and have some rice made in a familiar way. Just don't forget to pack some rice beforehand. Similarly, growing up, my husband's parents never really liked paying for veggies at dim sum either. They thought it was just overpaying for cheap vegetables when you could get a meat dish at the same price. And though we aren't really like that as much in our family, we do want to make sure that our kids have veggies when we go on trips. So what we did was we just purchased a pre-cut veggie platter at the grocery store, and then for each meal we steamed a few servings for everyone to share. You can control how crunchy or how soft the veggies are by just modifying the amount of the time that the veggies spend in the Itaki Pro. Now I saw a video of Emmy Maid cooking in the Itaki Pro while driving. I have to say that I've never done that yet, but I can definitely see the car adapter coming in handy if you are a long haul trucker or something like that, or otherwise you have a good setup that allows you to use the Itaki Pro safely while driving. That way the food is ready when you get to your destination. If your car can handle it, you could also use the adapter to cook while you are at your destination, such as a camping site or a nice picnic area or something like that. Just make sure you don't drain your battery. Okay, so now a lot of us who have kids remember what it was like when babies started eating solids. One dilemma was always constantly trying to figure out how to heat up the baby's food. Usually this involved always having hot water with you in a thermos or asking for boiling water and heating up the baby food at the restaurant. Now in a hotel, you could get around this simply by warming up the baby food in the Itaki Pro. Usually adding 1 cup of water to the heating pad is enough to get the baby food from cold to an appetizing temperature for your baby. Experiment around with this and see how it works with your baby. Just make sure to always test the food before baby does to avoid burning their little baby mouths. Okay, so on the topic of babies, another dilemma is how you're going to sterilize baby items on the trip. Items like pacifiers, nipples, bottles. What you can do is just steam them in the Itaki Pro. This will definitely save you from having to pack a sterilizer on your trip, especially if you don't have a pot or stovetop at your hotel to boil water and properly sterilize your baby items. Now these items all come in different shapes and sizes, so you'll have to experiment on placement to figure out how best to sterilize your items. Just make sure that you at least use the small metal bowl that comes with the Itaki Pro to make sure that none of your items come into contact with the heating element, or else they might scorch or warp, ruining both your baby item and the Itaki Pro. Be sure to test this out before you go on your trip so you know if this is the right solution for you and your baby's gear. Now this might work a little better in the Jumbo rather than the Pro, simply because of how much more space there is in the Jumbo. Our youngest is a bit past the age where we need to sterilize everything, so we don't actually need the Pro to do this for us, but it was an idea that I thought of the other day when I was looking at a regular sterilizer and thought you could easily transfer the concept over. Another thing is that you can use the Itaki Pro for dealing with food allergies. Typically you would order food that everyone enjoys, but sometimes there's just enough uncertainty that you don't want to take the risk. My daughter has a peanut and egg allergy, and sometimes I'm just not comfortable with the restaurant's assurances that they are able to accommodate her allergies. So you could have an Itaki Pro prepared meal that you made before you left home or prepared in your hotel room, and you simply just push the button and cook it while you're waiting for your takeout to arrive or while you're getting ready to leave, and pack it with you in a thermos if you're dining out. It's not perfect, but sometimes you just gotta do what you need to do to keep your family members safe. Okay, now, so what if you're actually cooking something in your hotel room and you realize suddenly that the kitchen or kitchenette doesn't have a colander to drain your vegetables or noodles? Well, the combination of the 2 metal bowls of the Itaki Pro will work in a pinch. What you do is stick your chopped vegetables or whatever else in the larger bowl and then stack the smaller bowl on top and drain out the water. Voila, instant colander. It's not going to work in all instances, but I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Alright, so as promised, here's a bonus. I thought I'd give you a recipe for a quick scrambled eggs and oatmeal breakfast. Take however many eggs you want, add a pinch of salt and pepper if you have some, and scramble them. Then place them in the small stainless steel bowl coated with cooking spray. For the oatmeal, use a 1 oatmeal to 1.5 liquid ratio in the larger bowl. I really like using milk instead of water, but you can use whichever liquid you prefer. Stir in some fixings like brown sugar and cinnamon, and then add in chopped up fruits like apples, peaches, or berries. Then put them in your Itaki Pro and let it steam for 2 cups or 25 minutes. Then voila! A 2-course oatmeal breakfast to get your vacation day started. So here are my thoughts on 9 ways you could use your Itaki Pro while on vacation. What did you think? Will you try any of these on your next vacation? Will you even bother bringing the Itaki Pro? Did you have some other tips that I could learn from? Leave a comment below and let me know. I'd love to hear from you. If you're interested in more Itaki ideas like these, be sure to subscribe. Until next time, friends, have fun with the Itaki Pro. Mwah!